In our last video, we explored why Sri Vidya is called a Vidya, a sacred wisdom, and what exactly is Sri Vidyopaasana, and we understood the process through its 6 sacred chapters: Nyasa Khanda, Purasharana Khanda, Puja Khanda, Homa Khanda, Stotra Khanda, and Rahasya Khandas. And in this video, we'll understand who are Vagdevatas and their importance in Sri Vidya. And we'll dive into the 4 levels of sound like Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari, and how they shape not just our speech but our very perception of reality. And we'll uncover the art of true communication through the beautiful principles of Avistaram, Asamdigdham, Avilambitam, and Avyādham. And finally, we'll understand why it's important for a Sri Vidyopaasaka to learn about Śabda Brahma Vidyā and how this knowledge can support and strengthen their spiritual practice. But before we dive into the actual content, I want to share something important, that Sri Vidya is not something we can understand in just a day or two. It's a vast ocean of knowledge, deep, divine, and ancient. To truly grasp its meaning, it takes time, sometimes even years. And before we can even begin to explore those higher truths, certain foundational concepts must be understood. And one such essential prerequisite is the significance of sound and speech, that is, Śabda Brahma Vidyā. It is one of the hidden teachings within Sri Lalita Sahasranamas. Many people recite it, some people notice it, and very few speak of it, and only a rare handful of people, those who are truly blessed, understands its real depth. And this video is not just an explanation, it is a journey into yourself, into something powerful that cannot be seen, it can only be felt. And this is not just knowledge, this is an experience. And trust me, by the end of this video, you won't just gain knowledge, you will feel a deeper and more intimate connection to Sri Vidya. So, let's begin. We all know that sound is everywhere. It is the very first thing we express when we enter this world. That is our first cry as a newborn. And that cry is not just a sound, it is the first declaration and announcement of our existence, that I have arrived and I am here. And from that moment, sound becomes the thread that connects us to the life. And it is how we speak, how we sing, how we laugh and cry, and how we share our deepest emotions. And it is how we know that we are not alone in this universe. Now, coming to the point, to say anything, we need words, right? But are words just sounds? No, they carry meaning, emotion, purpose, and wisdom. Words are the carriers of knowledge, and when knowledge is expressed outwardly, it becomes speech. So, to speak, we first need knowledge, and to share that knowledge, we need speech. Both are deeply connected, and it is only through knowledge and speech that we come to understand anything in this world. And those who bless us with this knowledge and speech are Vagdevatas, the goddesses of speech. The term Vagdevata comes from 2 Sanskrit words. Vak means speech and Devata means deity. These goddesses of speech represent the divine power of clarity, communication, and wisdom. And they are not just the guardians of spoken language, but also the thoughts that come before speech. Now, let's take this a step further. Speech is not just the movement of the tongue, it starts as a thought. And these thoughts arise from vasanas, that is, deep impressions, desires, and tendencies carried from past lives or formed in this life. These subtle seeds give rise to our conscious thinking. That is, before a word is spoken and before a sentence is formed, there is a journey happening inside us. And it is the Vagdevatas who guide this journey. The Vagdevatas help us transform these raw impressions, that is, these vasanas, into refined thoughts. and clear speech, and their grace helps us communicate with wisdom and purpose. Whether we seek spiritual knowledge or worldly knowledge, it reaches us only through words. And without speech, even the greatest knowledge would remain locked inside, and knowledge cannot be expressed. And for that, we need their grace. And that is why these Vagdevatas are essential for everyone. And there are 8 of them. Together, they are called as Vasinyadi Vagdevatas. And they are Vasini, Kameshwari, Modini, Vimala, Aruna, Jayini, Sarveshwari, and Kaulini. And they are invoked for clarity of thought, eloquence, creativity, and learning. Whether in art, music, conversation, or study, their presence ensures that our communication aligns with truth and wisdom. Now, let's get a bit deeper. These Vagdevatas play a very special role in the revelation of Sri Lalita Sahasranamas, the 1,000 names of Goddess Lalita. Usually, sages receive mantras through deep meditation and then pass them on to us. But the Lalita Sahasranamas were directly given to us by these Vagdevatas. They are the rishis of Lalita Sahasranamas. And that's why, right at the beginning of the Lalita Sahasranamas, it is mentioned as Asya Sri Lalita Sahasranama Stotra Mala Mantrasya Vasinyadi Vagdevata Rushayaha, meaning the seers of this sacred hymn are none other than the 8 Vasinyadi Vagdevatas themselves. Now, let me give you an example to understand their importance in Lalita Sahasranamas. Just imagine or ask yourself, can anyone truly explain who you are? Others might describe what they see on the outside, but the real you, your feelings, your nature, your thoughts, your emotions, or your journey, only you know that. Only you can speak about yourself better than anyone else. And in the same way, these 8 Vagdevatas were not outsiders to Lalita Devi. They are her own expressions, her voice, her light. And that's why only they had the power to reveal her 1,000 names. Because they all came from her. Only they know much better than anyone about Lalita Devi. And that's why the Lalita Sahasranamas are not just a list of names. It is the Divine Mother revealing herself word by word, name by name, through her own sacred voice through the Vagdevatas. And without their blessings, we cannot chant Lalita Sahasranamas properly, nor we can understand the depth, true meaning, and purpose of them. And in mantra sadhana, 3 things matter the most, that is, pronunciation, intention, and devotion. The Vagdevatas bless the practitioner with all these qualities. They empower the mantras, enhance their spiritual effect, and ensure that they are spoken with purity and clarity. Invoking them before any sadhana helps align our words with the divine vibrations. So, as I mentioned, these Vagdevatas are very much important for everyone. Let's move to the next section. We can write songs, books, or even scriptures, but all of them, no matter how complex or beautiful, are ultimately made from just 51 sacred Sanskrit sounds. And here is a small disclaimer. I am not a scholar in linguistics, and I am aware that different traditions mention 50, 51, or even 52 letters. And my intention here is not to argue over the count. The purpose of this video is to explore the hidden wisdom embedded in Sri Vidya. And for that, I am choosing to go with the widely accepted number, that is 51. I hope you will understand this approach as we move forward. And you can check these Sanskrit letters over here. These 51 syllables form the root of every word, every sentence, and every mantra. And these are the foundation of all human expressions, whether it is spoken or written. And these 51 syllables are divided into 8 vargas, that is 8 groups. They are Avarga, Kavarga, Chavarga, Tavarga, Tavarga, Pavarga, Yavarga, and Savarga. And each of these sound groups is governed by a divine force, one goddess for each group. Like Vasini represents Avarga, Kameshwari represents Kavarga, Modini represents Chavarga, Vimala, Tavarga, Aruna, Tavarga, Jayini, Pavarga, Sarveshwari, Yavarga, and finally Kaulini represents Savarga. And these Vasinyadi Vagdevatas are also known as Akshara Devatas, the goddesses of syllables. And they are the source of energy behind speech and knowledge. And that's why in Sanatana Dharma, a child's learning begins with Akshara Bhyasam, a sacred ritual where we honor these syllables, knowing that we speak them, we write them, and we learn through them. Because in Sanatana Dharma, learning is not just an act, it's a prayer. Let's move to the next section. In Lalita Sahasranamas, every mantra is not a separate one. They are grouped and guided by the 8 Vagdevatas. Each goddess holds charge of a specific set of mantras, that is, specific group of mantras. For example, some mantras come under Vasini, so they are known as Vasini mantras. Some belong to Kameshwari, so they are called Kameshwari mantras. Just like that, all the 1,000 names are beautifully divided into 8 divine sections, with each section watched over by one of the 8 goddesses of speech. And the one who chants the Lalita Sahasranamas regularly can identify these groups easily. Because the presence of each goddess can be felt in the syllables used, the rhythm, the tone, and the energy of the mantras. Let's understand more about this. The first one, Vasini mantras. These are not ordinary mantras, they are Vasyakara mantras, which means they have the power to attract, to connect, and to bring harmony. Now, when we hear the word Vasikaranam, many people misunderstand it. They think it means controlling someone or controlling something, etc. But that's not true. In spiritual terms, Vasikaranam means creating alignment. It's about making 2 energies come into sync. For example, in a marriage, if the husband and wife are not aligned in their thoughts and emotions, they won't understand or support each other. Husband should listen to wife and wife should understand husband. One should get Vasyam to the other. I repeat, one should get Vasyam to the other. That's Vasikaranam. Even when someone speaks, if their words don't carry a certain charm or emotional pull, people won't listen. But if their words touch the heart, it's because of that magnetic power. That too is Vasikaranam. So Vasikaranam is not about force, it's about grace. It's about building a natural connection where things come together in harmony. And the Vasini mantras carry this sacred power. The next one, Kameshwari. Kamam means desire, and Kameshwari is the goddess who fulfills our sincere desires. The mantras under her care are filled with energy of longing and divine fulfillment. The next one, Modini. Modini means joy, delight, and acceptance. Her mantras bring happiness, helping us find peace and contentment in life. And the next one, Vimala. Vimala means pure, and she is the goddess of clear and untainted knowledge. The mantras she governs remove confusion and bless us with divine wisdom. The next one, Aruna. Aruna represents the soft glow of compassion and love. Her mantras are filled with grace, helping us feel the motherly kindness of the divine. The next one, Jayini. Jayam means victory. The mantras she watches over give us strength to overcome both outer obstacles and inner struggles. The next one, Sarveshwari. She is the goddess of authority and leadership. Her mantras empower those who wish to guide others with dharma and integrity. And finally, Kaulini. Kaulini mantras are deeply connected to the awakening of spiritual energy. Kaulini is the guardian of Kundalini mantras in Lalita Sahasranamas. Her mantras help ignite our inner power and spiritual evolution. Each set of mantras has a distinct purpose, but all of them together form the beautiful and powerful body of Lalita Sahasranamas. They are the goddesses of knowledge, mantras, and speech. And without them, no mantra can be spoken and no truth can be known. For the one who contemplates deeply, the Lalita Sahasranamas reveal divine secrets, profound meanings, and spiritual treasures. And but for the one who lacks that contemplation, it may just seem like any other stotra. Now, let's understand how speech arises. Because speech is not just words coming out of the mouth. It may seem like speech begins when we utter a sound, but in truth, it travels through a divine journey within us. At the surface, what we hear is called Vaikhari, the spoken form of speech. It's where syllables take shape, and this is the realm where the 8 Vagdevatas, the goddesses of speech, reside. Before we say even a single word, that word begins its journey deep inside us. It goes through 4 stages, and they are Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. Let's try to understand this more clearly. The first stage of this journey is called Paravak. It's not something we can hear or even fully think about. It's just a pure intention, a silent spark of a thought. That moment when we suddenly feel like saying something, even before we know what to say. That's Paravak. This gentle desire to speak takes form at the very top of our head in Sahasrara Chakra, the crown center near Brahmarandhra. This is called the Parasthanam, the sacred place where Paravak is born. And from there, this spark of speech travels down and settles like a seed in the Mooladhara Chakra, our root center. Here begins the second stage called Pashyanti Vak. At this stage, we still don't know exactly what we want to say. It's just a sense or a feeling, like tiny bubbles rising in the water or a seed pushing out its first shoot. We feel something is about to take shape, but words haven't come yet. As it grows and reaches the Anahata Chakra, the heart center, the speech enters its third stage, that is Madhyama Vak. Now the sprout begins to open into 2 small leaves. That unformed feeling becomes a clearer thought. We start to know what we want to say, but it's still inside. And finally, the speech rises to the throat, that is Kanthasthana. Here in the Vishuddhi Chakra, it touches the 16 petals. These represent our letters and sounds. Here everything comes together. Vowels and consonants, thoughts and feelings. This is where the words become clear, full and ready to come out. And this final spoken stage is called Vaikhari Vak, the actual words we speak. So, in total, our speech flows through 4 sacred stages. They are Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama and Vaikhari. Just like before doing anything, we must first have the will to do it. Before we speak, we will feel the urge to speak. That first inner desire is Paravak. This desire is said to come from Parameshwara himself, which is why it remains subtle, hidden and divine. The next one, Pashyanti. The word Pashyat means seeing. So, Pashyanti means that which sees. It refers to that which sees everything within the self, within the soul. This stage is also referred to as Uttirna, which means the one that has crossed over, because it has crossed the barrier of Para and entered all sensory and material layers. It is called Pashyanti or Uttirna. Pashyanti is the expansion of Paravak. It lies between Paravak and Madhyama Vak. It is the second form of speech that emerges after leaving the Parasthana. This is the first pause or resting point in the journey of speech. But this speech cannot be heard through the senses. Pashyanti walk is like the seed of a sprouting grain. It has started to grow, but you still can't tell what kind of plant or tree it will become. You only know that something or some plant is emerging. In this way, Pashyanti walk remains unclear or indistinct. It is not yet defined, but it is very much alive and beginning to take shape. The next one, Madhyama. The word Madhyama means that which is in the middle. It is the middle stage of speech, neither like Pashyanti, which is deeply internal and formless, nor like Vaikhari, which is clear and spoken sound. Madhyama lies in between these two. It is the bridge between the invisible and the audible. This is the stage where sound begins to take shape. It's no longer just like a feeling or a silent stir. It's beginning to become more clear. Yet, it's still not fully formed into words. Here, nada is born, the subtle sound is born. At this stage, speech is partly formed and partly unformed. You may not be able to speak it yet, but you can start to grasp it in your mind. Madhyama Vak resides in the Anahata Chakra, the heart center. This is the second resting point in the journey of speech. Now, Madhyama can be understood in two ways, Sthula Madhyama and Sukshma Madhyama. When speech rises from the Mooladhara to Anahata, it is called Sthula Madhyama. But when it starts to move outward from the Anahata, it becomes Sukshma Madhyama. And from the Mooladhara to Anahata, speech contains about 35 consonant sounds. At this stage, the vowels are still missing. So, it's like a small child trying to speak words without clarity. We don't understand his language, but we can feel his emotion and intent. That's why Madhyama Vak feels like a thought that is almost ready. You know what you want to say. You feel it in your heart, but the words haven't completely formed yet. And finally, Vaikhari. The word Vaikhari means that which has become dense or manifest. Let's break the word down. V means certainty or clarity. Kham refers to the ear cavity. Re means that which reaches or attains. So, Vaikhari means that which clearly reaches the ears. This is the final stage of speech. The moment when the subtle intention that began in para becomes fully formed and expressed as audible sound through the tongue, teeth, lips, etc. It is at this stage that the inner sound transforms into vibrations or sound waves and becomes something we can hear with our physical ears. Up until the Anahata Chakra, speech existed only in the form of consonants and remained unclear or indistinct. From there, it rises to the Visuddhi Chakra, where it gains clarity and form. The Visuddhi Chakra has 16 petals, and each petal represents one vowel sound, from A to Aha. These vowels are considered the Shakti forms, while the consonants are considered as the Shiva forms. Vowels are independent, they can stand alone. Consonants are not. They need vowels to make sense. And that's why, until speech reaches the Visuddhi Chakra, it remains unclear, like a child who can express feelings but can't pronounce words clearly. At the Visuddhi Chakra, something magical happens. The raw consonantal energies, which until now were just vibrating sounds like ik, ig, im, meet the following vowels like a, e, etc. and together they merge to form articulate syllables. Let's understand this through examples. And when the ra sound ik meets vowel a, it becomes ka, a clear spoken sound. And when the ra sound ik meets A, it becomes Ka. Like this, the Ra consonantal energies meet vowels and merge to form articulate syllables. This combination creates clarity and speech becomes fully formed and understandable. This sacred science of sound and syllables is found in its most complete and systematic form only in Bharat, and that too in the Sanskrit language. That's the true greatness of Sanskrit, Sanatana Dharma, and our sacred land. And when speech becomes clear, it is called Namasaka. And when it becomes audible to our physical ears, it is called Rupasaka. Because the moment sound reaches our ears, it carries emotions, feelings, and meanings. We don't just hear the word, we feel it, we understand it, we see its form in our mind, and that's why it is called Rupasaka. Because the formless thought has now taken a clear shape. And because of this transformation from thought to word and from emotion to expression, speech is made of Namasaka and Rupasaka. That is the reason speech, that is, Vak, is Nama Rupatmakam. I repeat, Vak is Nama Rupatmakam. Now, let's move to the next section. The journey of speech from silence to sound, from formless to form, is considered a sacred transformation. The Devi or goddess who governs this entire process is Vagdevi, also known as Vageshwari Devi, an aspect of Lalita Mahatripurasundari. When speech reaches its final audible form, it touches 8 places in the mouth, like tongue, teeth, lips, etc. At each of these 8 places reside Vasanyadi Vagdevatas, the divine powers behind speech. Let's see where exactly do they reside in the body. Sthanani pancha prayatna udvaucha karanam chekam param sukshma rupam yeteshu vasam Vasanyadi vacham vande sada devatam ashtamurtim. It says 5 sthanas and 2 prayatnas and 1 karanam, that is total 8. These are the places where Vasanyadi Vagdevatas reside. And they are Kantham, the throat, Talu, the jaws, Oshtham, the lips, Dantam, the teeth, and Murdha, the palate. And these are the 5 sthanas. And then 2 prayatnas. One is Abhyantara Prayatnam, that is inner effort, and Bahya Prayatnam, the external articulation. And finally, Karanam, the tongue, the main organ of speech. Only with Vagdevatas' grace we can speak, and only with their blessings we understand what is spoken. And that's why, no matter how beautiful the poetry, how melodious the music, or how profound the scriptures, none of it would exist without the support of these divine beings. And the summary is, Paravak is pure intention or will, lies in the Sahasrara, unspoken, subtle and formless thought. Pashyanti Vak is inner vision or emotional feel of thought, sprouting from the Mooladhara chakra, not yet articulated but sensed or intuited. Madhyama Vak is mental speech, forming words internally in the Anahata chakra. Thought becomes clearer but still unspoken. And finally, Vaikhari Vak is spoken speech, emerges through the Vishuddhi chakra, fully formed and audible language. Now, let's understand where the Vasanyadi Vagdevatas reside in the Sri chakra. These divine goddesses dwell in the sacred energy center called the Sarvarogahara chakra, which is the Astatrikona mandala, shaped like an 8-triangle mandala. In the structure of the Sri chakra, this is the 7th avarana from the outermost layer known as Trailokya Mohana chakra, and the 3rd avarana from the innermost point, the Bindu, also called as Sarvanandamaya chakra. We'll go deeper into these mystical layers in some other video, and for now, just remember The Vagdevatas reside here. But that's not all. These goddesses also have the power to remove diseases because speech, when misused, is one of the root cause of suffering. In our tradition, diseases are of two main types, Manasika Rogas and Sharirika Rogas. Manasika Rogas are known as Adhi. Sharirika Rogas are known as Vyadhi. The first one, Adhi. These are mental and emotional problems. They include things like stress, anxiety, fear, anger, depression, or restless mind. These issues don't show up in the body immediately, but they quietly disturb the mind and the heart over time. The next one, Vyadhi. These are the physical illnesses. They include things like fever, pain, weakness, or some chronic diseases that affect different parts of the body. Our ancient seers understood something very deep. Many physical diseases, that is, Vyadhi, are born from long standing mental stress, that is, Adhi. For example, when we constantly live in fear or tension, it slowly weakens the body's energy and may lead to illness. So, if we want to heal the body, we must also heal the mind. I repeat, if we want to heal the body, we must also heal the mind. And that's where the blessings of Vasanyadi Vagdevatas help us. They purify both our inner thoughts and outer speech, bringing balance to the mind and through that, health to the body. Because the moment speech becomes aligned with truth and dharma, healing begins from the inside out. That is the secret power of these divine goddesses, hidden deep within the Sri Chakra. Speech, when blessed, becomes medicine. I repeat, speech, when it is blessed, becomes a medicine. Hope you will remember this. Because the way we speak, the intention behind our words, and the energy we carry while expressing them, all this is part of a greater art. Now, let's understand the art of communication. True communication is not just about speaking, it's about how we speak. Our words reflect our inner clarity, maturity, and sensitivity. In the Indian tradition, communication was seen as a sacred art meant to uplift, not just inform. Let's explore four timeless principles that define this art. The first one, Avistaram. Be concise, to the point. Speak only what is necessary. Avoid unnecessary stories or over explaining. If someone asks, did you finish the work? Just say, yes, it's done, or it's in progress. Not, well, I started in the morning, then I got a call, then I met a friend, then the power went off. No, this is not the way. Too much talk can hide the main point. Brevity brings clarity. I repeat, brevity brings clarity. The next one, Asamdigdham. Speak clearly without confusion. Let your words be straight and unambiguous. Don't speak in riddles. When we hesitate, mumble, or use vague words, the listener gets confused. Think before you speak and say it with confidence. Clarity in speech comes from clarity in thought. I repeat, clarity in speech comes from clarity in thought. The next one, Avilambitam. Keep it crisp and natural. Don't drag your words or stretch them unnecessarily. Like, I had a really long meeting. No, don't do this. It sounds tiring even to listen. Speak with natural rhythm. Not too fast, not too slow. A crisp and effortless delivery holds the listener's attention. And finally, Avyādham. Speak gently. Your words should never hurt someone's heart. In our scriptures, it is said, Uchchārayati Kalyanim Vacham Hridaya Harshinim. Speak words that are pure, sweet, and bring joy to the heart. A kind tone, a soft expression, these are not signs of weakness. but of strength. They can heal, inspire, and elevate the spirit of others. And to sum up, speak briefly, clearly, naturally, and kindly. This is the art of communication, a skill that reflects inner refinement, because in the end, how we speak is as important as what we speak. I repeat, how we speak is as important as what we speak. And even today, communication is leadership. The one who speaks with wisdom speaks with influence. Great communicators don't just speak, they inspire. And ultimately, as the ancient wisdom says, to master speech is to master life. I repeat, to master speech is to master life. Until now, we understood Vasanyadi Vagdevatas and their importance in Sri Vidya. And finally, why should a sadhaka understand Śabda Brahma Vidyā? Let's explore. In the path of Sri Vidyopaasana, a sadhaka must maintain a body and mind that are free from sharirika rogas and manasika rogas. These disturbances, these rogas or diseases become obstacles to deep and steady spiritual practice. And here is the subtle truth. Pure vasanas give rise to pure thoughts. Pure thoughts lead to pure speech. Pure speech results in no harm to others or self. No harm brings no inner guilt or disturbance. No disturbance creates freedom from physical and mental rogas. And freedom from rogas supports peaceful and focused sadhana. So to have a peaceful and focused sadhana, a sadhaka should not have any manasika or sharirika disturbances. And for that, understanding Śabda Brahma Vidyā is very, very important. Because Śabda Brahma Vidyā is not just a science of words, it is the path to self-realization. The more one understands the power of sound, the closer one moves towards the source of all existence. And when we understand this, we begin to speak with more care, more love, and more awareness. And let's always remember, speech is not just something we say, it is how we create. It is energy, and it is sacred, because speech is not just sound, it is a sacred journey. Because Shabdo hi Brahma param nado vyapto jagatray yatra vak tatra sattvam yatra maunam tatra param. Thank you.